Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Richelle. This is Divine Deep Dive. In this video, I'm going to be talking about Roberta Laundrie and the new burn after reading letter and the suicide letter. Also, a theory that I have about maybe she had more to do with his suicide than we believe.
We begin tonight with breaking news on the search for Brian Laundrie. The Laundrie family attorney confirming the remains found at the Carlton Reserve are, in fact, Brian Laundrie's.
Tonight, a new revelation in the Gabby Petito saga. Roughly a month after her fiance's remains were found in a Florida nature reserve, the medical examiner said Brian Laundrie died from a gunshot wound to the head, and his manner of death was suicide.
A judge throws out the Laundries' attempts to dismiss the civil lawsuit filed by Gabby Petito's parents. The Justice for Gabby movement celebrating online, but a jury trial isn't a guarantee yet.
So in this video, I'm going to be talking about my theory that I believe Roberta Laundrie had a little more to do with his suicide than we think. Bit of a complicated theory, so I'm going to go piece by piece and try and explain where I've come to the conclusion with this. Everybody knows the story of Gabby Petito and the Brian Laundrie case. I'm going to do a quick recap for anyone that wants to catch up, but I'm pretty sure most of the world knows this horrific case and the tragic story. And I think it's still something that lingers in all of us, that it felt like it wasn't resolved. There's still something lingering, and I believe there's still something that we've missed. And it's really interesting. I watched the recent Court TV interview with Dog the Bounty Hunter. He was talking about his opinion on the notebook and the note that the suicide letter that Brian left. His theory is that he believes he's still alive. I'll be able to debunk that in this because I've obtained a copy of the autopsy, and I'm going to point out some obvious things that I believe where this shows that it could not be, if that makes sense, Brian Laundrie. So anyway, recap, let's get into it. I'm going to be sharing my obsessive research that I've been doing on this since the notebook came out, and I hope you join me for the video, and yeah, let's do it.
A couple things. The notebook that we're now hearing is wet, and reports saying they need to let it dry out before they even try to open it. That could actually be the key here, Rutabaga. We might find out a lot. We might find out everything in that notebook. So that should not
amazing.
be discounted.
All right, so anyway, I'm going to get into the timeline, which the timeline for what I'm talking about was, we know Brian came back, they went on their holiday, but what I'm going to start with is when he went on his hiking trip. So there are so many different timelines that have been said, but one of the things that I found in all the information was, even in the autopsy, it says that he might have killed himself around the 17th. And all of their investigations they did on the deterioration of the bones, the time of the date or the weather, like the conditions to do the decomposition, was the 17th of September. Apparently, Brian Laundrie left for this hike on the Monday, the 13th of September. Now, there was this thing where there was a big thing where, like, they said we mixed up the day and it was the Tuesday, the 14th. The lawyer said in one of the interviews, but he said that he confirmed that he spoke to the FBI on the 13th of, confirmed and told the FBI that Brian had gone on the hike on the 13th of September, on the Monday. So going from that, he went in the Mustang. he left his phone and his belongings at home. Okay.
It says, yes,
yeah,
it
look
says
at the top of it.
2:42 p.m. and it's on September 14th. So that would be the Tuesday.
Right. So it is interesting with the timeline. How long was the Mustang actually there? And what you just read, the law says that it would have had to be there 5 days before they could, issue this notice. Well, according to the timeline that we've got, which is constantly changing and almost impossible to keep track of because the family keeps changing the story, according to that timeline, it would appear that the Mustang wasn't there for 5 days.
So, I'm going to ask the control room to put the timeline back up because it's so curious as you fill in the missing blanks there. It's very interesting to see that the new timeline that the Laundries have now, given us starts on September 13th. It's the new date. It's no longer September 14th that they said he just went off on a hike. They now say it's September 13th that he went off on a hike and didn't come home. And then you'll see September 14th, they say nothing. And on September 15th, they say nothing. And on September 16th, they say nothing. And on September 17th, they finally report Brian missing. And I believe it was you in the evening hours, maybe at 9 or 10 o'clock Eastern, you broke the news. So it took all day Friday. That's a full 5 days that they said nothing, but there's also 5 days that the car would have had to be there, and yet it was picked up on Wednesday. So am I to think now that September 13th is bogus, that car was over at that reserve at least maybe 2 days earlier, maybe 3?
Well, and let me tell you something else interesting, Ashley. So originally, and again, it's changed so many times, but originally the attorney was telling us that the Mustang was picked up on Tuesday, the silver Mustang right here. What was so strange about Luis, my cameraman, and what we were thinking about this? We've been out at the house every day at that time and now, getting video every single day of the driveway. So we went back and looked through our video, and they initially said they picked up the Mustang on Tuesday, but our video didn't show that. There was no Mustang in the driveway that Tuesday. It wasn't until Wednesday that the Mustang appeared.
Okay, this is where I have the theory. So the FBI confused. Apparently, they went on TV on the Friday saying we know where Brian is. The Thursday, no, it was the Wednesday. Sorry, Wednesday the 15th was when they said that Brian came home in the Mustang, wearing a baseball cap. He's there, we know. And on the Friday, they said, "Yep, we know where he is." It was Roberta. What I found interesting was the theory of that is how, what was she bringing the car home for, and why did they mistaken her? Why did she wear a baseball cap? Why did that? I just can't get into. But anyway, the next part of the timeline that I wanted to talk about was October 20th. Was when Brian Laundrie's body was found, or remains. So they said that the Laundries, and this is the Laundries going in, the Laundries discovered the backpack 20 minutes into entering the Uvalde, I'm not even going to say that, the park. So going into the environmental park, apparently saying that they knew where he went. This is my theory, okay? I think Roberta, if you look at her, they could have placed the dry bag there because she had a backpack on, and I couldn't find footage of her when she was going in, but what I did find was that she was really suspicious in all of her behavior, especially that letter that made me sort of think along the lines of she might have gone to the park with him, or with the Mustang, because she was the one that brought it back. Really interesting how she has written this letter, which I would really love to find, but the Steve Bertolino, which is the lawyer is the only one that has access to it. I actually went on, I was talking to WFLA about the burn after reading letter, and he said that he's approached the lawyer through text message, the journalist on there, which I'll put this in the video now.
Raquel Buderick, #AJB, do you think the burn after reading letter will be released? So let me make this clear. I can go back to my phone here. I have made 3 requests to Stephen Bertolino for that letter. He has it. He has confirmed its existence, and the Roberta Laundrie letter is with now Attorney Bertolino, who, according to Pat Riley, gave him his word that it wouldn't be destroyed or lost, that it would be properly taken care of, because of course it has legal consequences or legal ramifications with the civil lawsuit. So I after our stream on Friday, I texted Bertolino asking for the letter. I got no response. First thing Monday, or it was sometime around first thing Monday, I asked Bertolino for the letter. No response. And then on Wednesday, yesterday, I texted Stephen Bertolino for the letter. And look, and this is how I said it. I said it like this. I said, Stephen Bertolino, when he released this notebook, he did so with a cover letter that said that he was doing it for transparency reasons. And so I said, look, if you're going to talk about releasing the notebook in the spirit of being transparent, what's the stop? Can you please release Roberta Laundrie's letter in the same spirit of transparency? And that I didn't say it exactly like that, but I said it. Look, I said it. If the word transparency is going to be thrown around, then you have to own it, and you have to. If you're going to be transparent with the media and with the public and with the world on behalf of your clients, then do so, and do so with the evidence that we now understand that is in your possession. And I did not get a response until Wednesday at 9:10 in the morning, and he said, and it reads as follows, his text to me, it says, "The letter in question was written prior to the trip, nothing further to comment on." So 3 requests for the Roberta Laundrie letter, 3 denials or 2 non-answers, or two instances of being left unread, and then 1 non-answer. And so that's where we are with the Roberta Laundrie letter. Do I think it's going to be released by Bertolino? I can't say. Is there a chance that at some stage he comes forward and decides to release it? That would be a surprise, I think. However, anything's possible with this case. I've said it time and time again. Just when you think you have this entire story figured out, it sends you on this tangent in unknown territory like this Roberta Laundrie letter. No one saw that coming.
So they're not going to be able to really get the full, which would be really interesting if we could read it, what she said in the letter, because obviously she really wanted to help Brian in any way to get him out of this situation that obviously he's got himself in, where he has committed suicide. The theory I'm having on Roberta is, I read the 47-page autopsy report, and I found in there debunking a lot of what Dog the Bounty Hunter said about hogs, the decomposition, how that you can find, like, there would still be clothing left over. There was actual clothing found. There was more than, a lot of people think it was just like the teeth were found in the skull, but there were a lot of bones. There were ribs, there were, majority of the body was found, and it was in 2 different locations. This is my theory on where I don't believe the Laundries could have placed the bones there, because there were 2 different separate sites, and I pretty much tried to find out as much as I could about where Roberta was, so there wasn't 2 different sites where they both put them. But yeah, I found it interesting, the dry bag. I reckon they planted things there, especially things that wouldn't have. Apparently, at that time, the water went up to. So it would be like shoulder depth or like above waist. So it would be about chest deep. And that's why they couldn't get into the area that he'd killed himself. Going into that, I looked at the autopsy, and I have this theory that she went there with him, because in his autopsy, he was a right-handed person, and he has a left-handed. He's used his left hand if he did commit suicide on his own, and it was from an upper, so it was up. And I don't know about you, but I could do it on this arm, but not my left. I'd be retarded. I'd be a bit retarded. I would probably miss my head. I always do that. I'm right hand dominant. I mean, I don't know if he was ambidextrous, but I don't think he was. I think all the information provided says that he's right-handed. And you look at his writing, and if he was ambidextrous, a lot of people that are ambidextrous do have really neat writing because they can do it on both hands. Anyway, there's another little fact for you. So my theory actually is his mum went to the park with him. That's how they knew exactly where to go. And maybe he couldn't kill himself. Maybe she actually helped him. Maybe that was his theory of that was the only way he could go. Going into that, they did actually use DNA. So it wasn't just the dentist. So Dog the Bounty Hunter said that the dentist could have been a family friend or whatever, or some link. I do believe that the police had run out of money or funding to keep this case going, and they'd spent $3 million on the search for Brian Laundrie. So
that case had to go away in a financial federal way, but I don't think it's gone away. There's so many. We filmed the whole thing because we got to film. You got to show proof. No, I didn't hit you in the mouth first. You hit me. You got to have a camera. I have to have a camera. So everywhere we went during the hunt of Brian Laundrie, which is coming out soon, we filmed what we found. And what we found is not what they said they found.
So are you questioning what they say happened to Brian Laundrie, that he took his life, that he was found in the swamp, that the gun was there, the weapon and everything else?
Well, it all has to lead up to the father walking down there one day and then looking around to the left, and all of a sudden walking another 20 yards and looking around the left. Oh, look what I found. Come on. Then I guess the dentist has some kind of family relation. Then Brian Laundrie was right-handed. I checked on homicides, suicides, almost everyone. You shoot yourself with the hand that you are, the right hand, if you're right-handed. He was shot with the left hand in the back. He had plenty of time to run. The parents knew that he killed Gabby right after he did it. I think it was all strategically planned. His sister said she didn't see him at all. My team, we found that she entered the park with him. We got a picture of him in her car. And then she goes, oh, I was lying.
So you don't think there was enough skepticism placed in the investigation, and that's where you and the Essentials have picked this all up?
Yes, because like I said, now you got to realize the cops, the federal government or police departments have so much money in their pot to spend on each crime, okay? They didn't have $3 million to spend on Brian Laundrie, but they did, and it's more than that. So when they're out of money, they're out of funds, they got to pay their agents, they got to go on to the next Brian Laundrie.
I think it was just like, let's just shut the case. Like, yeah, we get like all the details. It's sort of like the Chris Watts case. It was like, but what? Like how, what really happened? It's like all over, but there seems to be more to it. And that's when we found out about Chris Watts' daughter. We thought all the bodies were dead, but he actually did it at the site and smothered them before he put them in the tanks, if you know the Chris Watts case. Theory being, I think the mother might have done it herself, being left-handed and up. she maybe did it for him. And something that Dog did say was that it sounds like a lawyer wrote the suicide note, which is true. I completely can go with that theory. I think it was planned. I think a lot of it was planned, and I think he's not a smart narcissist at all, or a psychopath. I don't believe he's a psychopath. I think he's very narcissistic, with a real complex personality disorder. Looking at his letter, when I read it, the first thing I looked at was, it was about him, very much about him. So it was very much how he looked, what he did, and he even put the blame on Gabby, basically saying she asked him to kill her because she accidentally fell. If you look at the video of her talking about, the police officer has her in the car and he's questioning her about what happened, and this is how I knew she was strangled before we found out how she died and when they found her body. It was something I said, because it's behavior, like she mimicked like him grabbing her, and I'll put it in the video now.
Officer who responded to a domestic incident involving Gabby Petito and her fiance Brian Laundrie. Watching it, we learn more about the fight between Gabby and Brian on August 12th.
And let me know what you think. That's future prediction of what he did. He strangled her. And I think something that I found really interesting, I think he was losing her. She was such a beautiful, young, but naive girl, which we all have been. I have been one. Her beautiful soul would see the goodness in everyone, and I think there was a real dark side to Brian Laundrie, and he wanted to believe in this future he had with her, but it was not real. Narcissists make up and play the part. They mimic their partner to get what they want. And something I believe that he did was he hit her out of, like, I think she was starting to realize that the relationship was toxic. She was really developing her business and independence, and, you know, moving, like going in the van, and just they did a lot of work to it. She did a lot of work to it. It sounded like she was very much in control of what she was doing. It was her vision, it wasn't Brian's. And I had a feeling that the reason they were starting to fight was she was starting to sort of doubt their engagement and everything that was going on, and the fighting was a big key. So I believe, even though he writes in the suicide letter that he loved her and can't live without her, I think he's a coward and he couldn't face what was going to happen. But I believe he killed her. And if you look at some of the description of what he says, there was a bump on her head. It started swelling. It's sort of like, I think he freaked out and like attacked her, and then was trying to cover it up, which I think we all think that. But it was that video where the police are questioning her in the back of the police car, and she does that. And how did she die? Strangulation. So he'd done it before in a domestic violence situation, especially someone like Gabby with her beautiful heart and soul. Sometimes they do pick these narcissists that are just, it doesn't always end in death and violence, but there is a form of abuse that evolves over time, and it creeps up on you. And that's what narcs do. It's scary, because it's almost like, why don't we teach this to our children and teenagers about healthy relationships, understanding to identify these things, instead of teaching us about something we're never going to use in life, like arithmetic and, you know, I love quantum physics, but why don't we teach emotional wealth to our children? Teach what is an appropriate relationship, what are red flags, how should we identify these things? I think that's so important for us. It's so important as a human being to, because we don't talk, like if we don't know, we don't know how to overcome. And that's something that's really sad about this case, is I don't think Gabby really thought this would evolve this way. I think her family was shocked too. But the mother, Roberta, I have a theory that she was the one that committed or helped him commit suicide. Either she assisted him and then took all the appropriate evidence that needed to be exposed when it was, and that's the reason that they went into the park when it was reopened and the water had receded. They were the ones to find it within 20 minutes of going into the park. They went directly to it. But, other thing I was going to say. Thank you guys so much for staying if you have until the end of my video. I really appreciate you guys. I got a comment on my first video, which I'm hoping to upload every week, not once a month, because it was a month ago I did my last one. But to that person, I really appreciated it. It inspired me to keep continuing on. Your message really made me feel positive about what I'm doing. And I just wanted to say thank you and that I'm grateful. Hopefully you guys come back and join me. I love this stuff. I know you guys do too, and I'm just hoping to hopefully contribute in a positive way. So yeah, take care of yourself, and I'll say g'day mate, see you later. I hate saying subscribe and like, do you know what? Do your thing. You do or you don't. If you enjoyed it, do it. If you don't, doesn't matter. I love doing it. I'd do it for free anyway. I'm not doing it for likes. So thank you so much, and yeah, I've got a few more projects I've been working on, and I've got a few more topics I want to get into. So hopefully you enjoyed this, and we can I can do another video to end. I'm a dick.